Okay, we're rolling.
All right, this is a home interview in New Rochelle, New York, 28th of September 2004, approximately 2 o'clock p.m. Interviewers are Wayne Clark and Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
My full name is Matthew Fred Iarocci. I was born on September 11th, 1924.
Okay, and where?
In New Rochelle.
In Rochelle, okay. What was your educational background prior to entering service?
Well, I went through grade school, junior high school, and I graduated from high school. That was the extent of my education.
Okay. Do you remember where you were and your reaction when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
I certainly do. I was listening to a football game in the Bronx, New York. My first cousin lived at Derima Avenue next to Mount St. Michael's School. And it was like something, you know, just something, you couldn't comprehend it, you know. And from there, you know, went back to school, and the principal got up in front of the auditorium and told us the whole story. But that's about it, you know.
Okay. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I was drafted.
Okay. Could you tell us where you went for your basic training?
Yes. Well, first let me say,
Sure.
they only drafted you till you were 21 years old, up until December, I think it was a 42. And when they passed in January, I signed up. In February, I got drafted. And I, from here, I went to Camp Upton in New York, Long Island. And from there, I was only there a few days. From there, I went to Camp Pickett, Virginia. Now, Camp Pickett was a huge camp. And what we did, we lived in World War I barracks. There were no toilet facilities in the building itself. You had to walk from maybe half a block before you went to the bathroom. And they had no hot water at all. If you took a shower, and very few guys did, it was cold water, and it was very, very cold there. Our barracks were heated, and they were more like hutlets. They had maybe 20-something guys by two little stoves, one on each end. And we had to be responsible for going to where the coal was, take it, start the fire, do it. And half the guys really didn't know what they were doing. But we survived it, don't ask me how. And we used to go to sleep at night with our overcoat on. It was that cold, it was freezing. And I'll never forget, someone sent me an article written by Walter Winchell. He said, Camp Pickett, Virginia, the hellhole of the South. That wasn't true for the whole camp. We were in what they called Tortilla Flats. That was the worst. That was the World War I huts. Then they had the double-decker barracks where they had heat, hot water, and everything. And we ate out of mess kits the whole time we were there. And I was there about 7 or 8 weeks, and they used to give us tests. And I got called to the office, and they told me, you know, that I was eligible to go to medical training school. And I said, oh, thank the good Lord. And from there, I went to Atlanta, Georgia, to Lawton General Hospital. And this was like paradise. We had double-decker barracks, two floors. Everything was spit and polished, clean. And when we had lunch, we had cafeteria style. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. So I stood there, maybe 3 or 4 months till the course was over. And they gave us some sort of a graduation certificate. And then I was assigned to Thomasville, Georgia, to Finney General Hospital. And this was a huge, it was on the border of Florida and Georgia. And, we had 12-hour shifts. The wounded would come in, and I remember a lot of guys that were in the paratroops who broke their arm, who broke their leg, they came over there. And I was there a while, and I got very, very restless being there. I felt like I wasn't contributing, And I had gone to the captain. I had asked permission to, and I asked him. I said I would like to be transferred. He got very, very annoyed, And he said, you think that the government spent all that money to teach you how to be a medic so that you could be an infantryman? He says, no, he said, it's rejected. So anyway, that was the final word. But within 2 weeks, I got shipped out. And I went to Camp Barkley, Texas. And in Camp Barkley, Texas, we basically had to take basic training over again. It was like a replacement depot. And wherever they needed men, whatever your MOS number was, they would take you. So I wasn't there too long, 3 or 4 months, I guess. And I went to, it was Camp Stoneham, California, where I joined the 88th Field Hospital. And well, we did, basically they told us what was expected of us, you know. And from there we went up the coast of California, and we left in Seattle, Washington. And we boarded the ship in Seattle, Washington, and we went to Hawaii. And they gave us what they called jungle training. They put us out in a big forest place there, and we had to do this and bandage guys and carry the litters, you know, the whole deal. And all of a sudden, our Alpha was called up, and we went from there. We stopped at Saipan and Guam, which were already taken, and everybody was guessing to where we were going. It was going to be either the Philippines, and Okinawa was hardly even heard of. And I could remember we were on the boat, and we just going to get off the boat, and it came over the flash that President Roosevelt had died. And that was like stunning. It was absolutely unbelievable. Nobody knew who Truman was and what kind of guy, you know, everybody was confused. But from there, when we disembarked on the boats, we went up, and they had the land all marked out, what we had to do. And we had to set up the tents first, set up the list of bags, and set up the whatever. And I'll never forget, this is unbelievable. The 77th Infantry Division, that was the Statue of Liberty Division from New York. My first cousin's husband was a foot soldier, he was an infantryman. And after we set it up, the first guy that opened the flap said, Matt Iarocci. Nobody ever called me that. Who the heck? No. And it was Pete. His name was Pete Ferrara. And could you imagine something like that happening? It was like unbelievable. Unbelievable. But getting back, we set up the field hospital, and the casualties were coming in like mad. And we did what we can, first aid, and what we did, like we were close to where the fighting was. And what we did the best we could. We took care of the walking wounded got first preference over anybody that was hurt bad, because they figured they could patch him up, he'd go right back fighting. And the next thing we know, the colonel came out, he addressed the company, and he says, beginning tomorrow morning, we're evacuating all the U.S. soldiers. They're going to go to the 9th Station Hospital, and then they're going to go on hospital ships. And they would still have the trucks and the ambulances, and everybody's getting out. And he told us, starting tomorrow, we're taking care of the PWs, Japanese PWs. And I tell you, there was a lot of disgruntled guys. But nobody said a word. You know, I mean, you're in the army, what are you going to say? And the next morning, you just can't believe the amount of casualties that came in. And to see what happened to them. You know, loss of limbs and shoulders taken off and half your head blown off. And it was terrible. But one of the prisoners that was there, he came in and he was shot up, and he had scabies because he was in a cave, you know, and they couldn't get him. And one of the PW was going, he wanted Mizu, Mizu, and I don't know what the heck he's talking about. And the guy says he would like water. And I was surprised, this guy spoke English too. So anyway, from there, he became my official interpreter. And we'd take the Okinawan girls from the compounds, and they would come into the wards, and they would do whatever they could, cleaning, getting them water, trying to fix them food, and all that sort of stuff. But and after a while, it just became like routine. You didn't look at them like an enemy anymore. They were just people. You see them every single day. And they'd talk about different things. One thing they always liked was baseball. They all knew Babe Ruth. They liked American movies. And they were up on American politics pretty good. Not all of them, just the people, that spoke English. And we communicated real well.
How did they, for the most part, how did they accept your help?
They were very, very grateful. They were very, very grateful. Number one, they didn't expect the Americans to act in that way. And what we did, we took care of them. Oh, by the way, when they came in, none of them were clothed except for like a little jockey underwear. That's all they could have, because they were notorious for, hiding weapons and whatever. But no, they accepted their fate. We never had any rebellion. We never had anything. They just accepted that they were PWs, and that was it. And these guys are banged up and everything, and they're being taken care of. They give them water, they give them food, they give them first aid. And they were eternally grateful. And this Japanese soldier went back to Japan. He had my name and address, and he sent me a letter. I think it was in 1946, and it was opened by the censors, of course. And they looked at it, it was okay, and from there on, he was in very, very bad shape. They didn't have any food, they didn't have any clothing or anything. So the first thing I did, I had a suit that I didn't particularly like, so I sent it to him, and then I would send him what they known as, it wasn't care package, it was just a package to him, and basic food, rice, beans, whatever. And he continued the writing, and then about 8 or 10 years ago, I sent him every year we'd exchange a card. Didn't say anything, but he would always say, "My friend forever," and it just stopped. Now, I don't know whether any member of his family spoke English or not, but then when that write-up was in the paper, what the newspaper did, they called him up in Japan to verify what I said was correct. So I thought that, and he couldn't believe it, that he got a call from the United States asking that. But and then after a while, it wasn't like they were prisoners anymore. I mean, the island was secure. The island was secure, and they were within the hospital. They couldn't go out of a certain area. But
how many were there approximately?
Oh God, I couldn't even count them. Well, every morning, we had our squad tents, and we had all the beds lined up and all that. Every morning, one of the doctors would come by. We had 2 Japanese doctors. I still remember their names. One was Captain what the hell was his name now? One was Captain Morita, and one was Captain Kubikawa. And they would come in, and the American doctors gave them the stethoscope and everything. And they would come in, and they'd look at the guys, and they'd see anybody who was in bad shape. They'd mark the cot. The next morning, the other PWs would take them out on the side, and they would put them in the truck, one of those big covered trucks, and they would take them, and they would have it like a mass grave. They would have the bulldozer there, and they'd take it off, and they'd line them up, turn it back, and they put a stake in the ground, 12 POWs. Now, I don't know whether they ever knew their names or kids, but they must know their names, but I never was into that. Never was into that. And in Christmas, because we landed in April of 45, and around Christmas time, they had hot food for us. They had turkey and they had potatoes and everything. And after we ate, whatever was left, they gave to the PWs. So that was, you know, what got me was the absence of bitterness of the American soldiers to these prisoners. And the Japanese were hated. They were hated. And all of a sudden, when you looked at them as just a people that was suffering, and you know, the enemy sort of a thing went out of your mind. It was just, and then of course we had the typhoon there, and I told you that the guy that was a librarian, you know, kept telling us about the typhoon, but nobody would listen to him. And the typhoon came, and it blew down the whole hospital. You know, all the tents. And we used to have the little Piper Cubs, you know, for reconnaissance.
Right.
And they were all blown to one end of the airfield. Then they had the little landing craft. They were all blown up. You can't see how far they were on shore. You'd think that people carried them, you know, after it subsided. So it was quite a thing.
Where did you go when it struck?
Well, what they had there, they used to have their burial grounds. And the burial ground, and this was explained to me by one of the soldiers, it had a small opening like this, and then it had a big round circle that was cement. And we cuddled in there, huddled in there. And I asked one of the people, one of the soldiers, I said, gee, that's very unusual. Why is that like that? And he says, that's from the birth of your mother. When you're dying, you're going back from where you came. And I don't think that was commonly known. I mean, I was astounded, you know. But, oh, and the part that was the greatest, the PWs went home before we did. Yeah, we took them down to the docks, and they were all loaded on a ship, and then we had points, you know, I had so many points for the and we had to wait our turn, and then we didn't get discharged from the 88th Field Hospital, which I didn't like too much. Not that it made a big difference, but we had to go to the 9th Station Hospital that was, you know, to the rear. And on my discharge it says 9th Station Hospital. Not that it makes a difference, but...
Now you were there when the atomic bombs were dropped.
Oh, yes.
What were your feelings when you heard about that, or the feelings of others around you?
Number one, we couldn't comprehend. Nobody understood. They said that one bomb knocked the city out, and the guys were going, oh, it was atomic. No, who the heck knew about atomic? But there was jubilation. There was jubilation. Not because so many people got killed, but because the war was over. And we were given, I think it was Operation Cornet, and we were one of the forces, the medical force that was going to land in Japan. And you know, it's in the back of your mind, when is it coming, when's it coming? But when this happened, I mean, it was a sigh of relief. It was a sigh of relief. And you know, you have all the second guesses, we shouldn't have done it, we did do it. But the thing is, we did it, and the war was over.
When did you finally return home?
Let's see. Well, let's see, January. I think I landed back in the United States, it was February, but I remember the day that I got discharged was on St. Patrick's Day. So I always kid everybody and say they let all the Irishmen out of the army.
So that was in 46?
46, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Did you ever use the GI Bill when you got home?
I used yes, I used the GI Bill. I was an apprentice printer, and my wages were $26 a week. $26 a week. And then it came over, I went to the veterans and they said, well, we'll subsidize that. And as you make more money, you get less from us. And I became a full journeyman of 4 years, and that was the end of that. But it helped me enormously. And then,
Did you ever use the 5220 club?
no, I never use it. And you know what? I was working over 40 hours a week for $26, and all my buddies would meet in a bar, and they were getting $20
for 52.
$20 for 52 weeks. But that's another thing, so. And then a lot of my friends went to college. You know, the college tuition was a great thing. And you know, the country got paid back by these guys going to work right after college and guys learning the trade. It was a good thing. Yeah.
Did you ever join veterans organizations?
No.
Never at all?
And I tell you why. They don't like me for it. But they had approached me a number of times to join the American Legion or VFW. I went to the VFW a couple of times. There was a few guys there, you know, and they wanted me to join the American Legion. And I told them, I said, well, I said, look, if I join an organization, I want things to be done. I don't want to join another organization where you play cards and drink beer. And basically, and fundamentally, that's what it was. They do a good job when they, you know, Veterans Day, and they put the flags on the grave, and they have, you know, go visit like the no-field field, which is great, you know. But to me, that was just show. I want something basic and fundamental that the veterans could get. And I was angry about one thing, and it still annoys me. But after I got my training, we had a strike, and we lost the strike, and everybody was out of a job. So what I did, I went to work in the post office. And the guy says, how many years you got? So I said, I got a little over 3 years. He said, well, that's good. He said, up to 3 years goes toward your pension. It's automatic. You got 3 years retirement already. So, boy, I was delighted. So I worked there a little while, and I couldn't handle the job. I just didn't like it, you know. So anyway, I had a couple of other little jobs. And I took the test for head custodian at the Rochelle Public Library. And I was very, very fortunate to get the job. And I talked to the people, you know, the director and everything. I said, now, with my 3 years toward my pension, the guy said, what are you talking about? I said, the 3 years that I was in the Army. He said, that has nothing to do with it. So I said, well, in the post, he said, no. The post office is a United States agency. That's why they gave it to you. But I couldn't understand. I said, you're getting very, very technical. But they never did. They never moved on it. And I wrote, I talked to different people in office. But you know, you got to carry the ball for something like that. It's very, very difficult. And nothing ever came of it. But nevertheless, I survived. I want to make it now, so.
Did you ever stay in contact with anyone that was in service with you?
Only for a couple of years after the war was over. There were two guys that I kept in contact with. One guy was from Brooklyn, New York. His name was Ed Fagan. I still remember him. I kept in contact with him. As a matter of fact, he came and visited me here one time. And then there was one more guy that I got along good with. His name was Ralph Nardelli. And he was from Yonkers, New York. And we kept in contact for a little while. But, you know, time fades this year, you know. But those were the only two. And like I say, with this PW, I mean, for about 40 or 50 years, every year I'd get a card. Then I got pictures of his daughters when they got married in the Shinto ceremonies, and when they were little babies, you know, the whole deal. And he wrote to me about conditions in Japan and when the Korean War started, you know.
So when was the last time you heard from him?
Oh, it had to be 8 years ago.
And you have no idea?
I have no idea in the world whatever happened to him.
And you think if he died that the family would let you know?
I would certainly think so.
Yeah.
The only excuse I could offer them, that maybe they didn't know how to speak English, but they knew the communication between him and I, you know, and you'd think that they would have dropped me a line, you know, and anything, but never heard another thing.
Now, do you have some photographs that you could show us? Now, who is the top one?
Oh, that's...
Now, if you hold that like this, Wayne can focus right in on it and describe who that is and so on. Just
All right, I just want to see what year this
Sure.
was taken. Yeah, 1950. So this is Hisashi Iwasaki and his wife and his little daughter. This picture was taken in 1950.
so he's the Japanese that you
He's
met.
the Japanese, he was the PW of war.
Okay.
And every year when he sent me the card, he would sign it, "Your friend forever." He was very, very appreciative, and he should well be. You know, they were treated with a lot of humanity, a lot of humanity. I don't remember of any case of any one of the wounded Japanese being hit or not.
Okay. Do you have any other photographs you'd like to share? Or
Well, this is, well, here's a photograph. Well, this is when the war was over. And this is the the American-Japanese casualty list. Yeah. And this is how we celebrated. Everybody got their rifles out, got their tracer bullets out. The guys on the ships all shot up in the sky, and whoever the photographer was got some picture there. Oh, then I
You're
wanted...
lucky you didn't have a lot of casualties from that.
We did have, yeah, some guys got hurt. But another thing, you know, Ernie Pyle, you certainly know Ernie Pyle.
Yes.
And he was in the European Theater of Operation one time. And then he came on Okinawa. And he was very, very popular. And he decided to go to Aishima, which was just a small island off the thing. And he got killed. And it's remarkable how many people, you know, how many guys really felt hurt about that. You know, it's bad when another guy got killed, but Ernie Pyle was like something special.
Did you ever see him when he was on Okinawa?
No, I never saw him. I never saw him. And then the general got killed, General Butler.
Yes.
Yeah, he got killed, and actually, you know, the rumors of traveling, you know, that he was going to come to our field hospital, and that never happened. That never happened. But yeah, he died. Yeah.
Are there any other? Whoops.
Oops.
Are there any other photographs there that you want to show? Or?
Let's see this.
Do you have any of you in uniform?
Yes, I do. I have. Wait a minute. Got Japanese money. I got that one photograph. If you want, you could take a look at that. There was one photograph of me. It's hanging in the living room right there. It's on the wall of me in uniform, standing on a tent.
Yep, I'll bring that in.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are other photographs you have of your friend in Japan.
Yeah. And then I got some pictures of.
These are
Yeah.
just other photographs he received through the years.
All right.
And there I am at 20 years
Wait a
old.
second, let me just
He's got to focus
get
on these first.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then you?
There I am at 20 years old, and this is where we lived for all the time we were on Okinawa. Of course, we lived in the pup tents for a while, but we graduated to this tent here.
Okay.
How do you think your time in the service changed or had an effect on your life?
Well, I tell you, I was very, very young, and being like 18 then is not like being 18 now. There was a lot of innocence at the time, and it woke me up to about the realities of life, you know, the things that you had to do. There's no question about it. And I always said that the United States was very, very fortunate that this war came along when it did, because most of the kids were disciplined. They were disciplined by their family. So when they came into the Army and you had a sergeant shouting at you, you did it. There was no rebellion, or, once in a while a guy would screw up like everything else. But basically and fundamentally, they did what they were told.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your interview.
Yes, could I get you a Coca-Cola?